says when asked whether Sarah Palin is qualified to be president, she'll get there. Is that good enough?
Well, look, I think we have to look at why Sarah Palin has energized a lot of voters within the Republican base. They like her because she's genuine, because she's authentic, because she connects with them on a lot of the kitchen table issues that they care about. But, you know, the pick was also supposed to help the McCain campaign reach out to swing voters, conservative Democrats and like-minded independents, and they seem stuck on that issue. And we haven't really had a great deal of success up until this point in convincing them to back McCain because of the Sarah Palin pick, because they don't feel that the vice president is a job that you learn on the job. They feel like that the one requirement is that you be ready on day one.
And Mark, to that point, John King just showed us some evidence that about 1 out of 10 Republicans in Virginia and Ohio are switching to Barack Obama. He said possibly because of a Sarah Palin backlash. Do you buy that?
I don't mean to direct the show, but if you could put Kevin Madden back up, I'd like to yield my time back to Kevin. And Kevin, tell Campbell and her audience what Republicans are really saying today about Sarah Palin and about the pick and about the effect this revelation about the clothing allowance the RNC gave her. Tell people what Republicans are really saying. Go ahead.
Oh, Mark, this is what Mark used to do to me when I was on the Romney campaign. He'd always direct the questions at me. This is no fun. But look, I think it's broken down.
And let me just say that's why Kevin is on the show almost every night, because he's always honest with me, and I love that about him. Go ahead, Kevin.
Well,
and
look,
then I'll make Mark answer the question.
Well, let's break it down into the two different types of Republicans. There are those out there who are, you know, in these battleground states that are really energized by the simple fact that they finally have somebody like them on the ticket, somebody they can identify. But of course, there's always going to be that political class.
Clothing allowance.
There's always going to be that political class here in Washington that feels that the Sarah Palin pick, what it did was it seeded the grounds on economic conservatism and national security with the issues of experience. We've always been a party that has nominated folks who have very strong philosophical moorings on those issues, a long evidentiary trail of having worked on those issues. And that seems to be lacking here. But again, the issue of readiness, the issue of experience, ultimately that's left up to the voters. It's not left up to the folks who and talk about these issues in think tanks here in Washington, D.C.
Well, outside of Washington, though, you've got to remember, Kevin. I mean, repeatedly, many of the editorial endorsements that have now gone to Barack Obama specifically cite Palin as the reason. I mean, they very pointedly put that in there, as did General Powell, that she's a reason that they just couldn't go along with it. And I think you're right about the loss of support from independents.
Yeah,
Republicans, independents is now a 13-point lead for Obama, 25-point swing in a month.
And isn't Sacramento 3,000 miles away from Washington?
Hold on, I want to play a little bit more of an interview. This is Nightly News Tonight. Brian Williams asked John McCain and Sarah Palin about the criticism she's been getting, that she's not ready, including that from Colin Powell. Let's listen. Let's let them have their say here and listen to what he said.
I see all these attacks on Governor Palin. I don't live in a bubble, but those people obviously are either not paying attention to or don't care about the record of the most popular governor in the United States of America.
Let's not forget also in this context of one endorsement, Colin Powell's, that you have received the endorsement of at least 4 former secretaries of state and
five former secretaries
and hundreds of retired top U.S. brass.
So, Mark, what do you think? You do get the sense McCain getting a little frustrated, maybe fielding questions about his running mate's fitness for the job rather than his own.
You know, in that interview, a little bit. The one where I thought he showed a lot of frustration was this morning with Imus on the radio. He was calling from New Hampshire. Imus began to ask him a question about Sarah Palin, and McCain went off on him so intensely and in such a cranky fashion that for a moment I thought maybe it was one of those Imus parodies where you have an actor playing John McCain. He became off message and in a defensive position. And again, if you've got Arnold Schwarzenegger saying maybe he'll be ready, that's a bad thing.
All right, guys, thanks so much. I wish we had more time. We got to go, but appreciate it. Coming up, what Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger thinks about Barack Obama, whether he